home for good now for a few games.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good feeling to know we're going to play at home and a chance to play in front of our own crowd, which is feels like forever. So that's nice for sure, and to know that we could again have more practice time this month, and it's the first time since maybe I've been here that I've had 13 scholarship players in practice. So that was a first today. So that was exciting to see that many bodies, that we could work with.
So we look at the 5-2 record up until now. Obviously, you want to be 7-0, but 5-2, pretty pleased.
I think considering what we've been through, where we've had to go, what we've had to do, and who we've played, and, it's sure we would have loved to maybe have that last 2 or 3 minutes back versus Virginia, but your record is what it is, and we just have to look forward now. And there's a lot of good opportunities on our schedule, and the league is faring so much better than it has the last 2 years. So I feel pretty good about where we are.
That's Romelo's ankle.
Yeah, he tweaked it in the game and was able to come back and play, and he was in practice today, full go. So he's fine.
The way that Remy's had to step on the throttle at times, like at Princeton, does that make it kind of more difficult for when he has to pick his spots better, like in the last game?
Yeah, I mean, we knew we needed him to do that versus Princeton. I think he felt that. I think that's kind of what a really good point guard knows. What do you need from me now? And I do think a part of Remy's balance will be scoring and then helping getting everyone involved and getting other guys shots and just having his pulse on that. I think he's he knows that, and we're talking to him about it.
You mentioned this is the first time you kind of had a full arsenal, and you look back to the last 2 years, and it didn't seem like you got everyone until January. How much do you think that's going to help you, having everyone going into conference?
Well, I mean, it's the minute distribution was spread out. That's maybe the first time I played 10 guys, that many players in a game, and it's going to shake itself out over the next few weeks. Sometimes, like 2 years ago, my team was I was ready to hit go button, and we were ready to win all kinds of games, and we kind of knew our identity. And I still think that to a degree we're figuring out rotations and who's going to step up, and then the next several non-conference games will set up for what you're going to see from us in the Pac-12. I don't know how you could play more than 10 guys. That's crazy, but so it's a lot of competition, and that's going to make sure we have accountability.
So do you kind of hope to have a set starting 5 by the time conference play rolls around? I mean,
there are a few guys that I know that are never going to leave the lineup unless there's some type of injury. So there's a couple of those, and then everything else is still being determined right now.
So I know that the game at San Francisco last year didn't happen because of the fires. As a kind of validation for you that you do stick with that game, the scheduling, and you come out the way you come out of it?
I mean, I just think you try and honor your agreements that you make, and that's a part of what we did, and we really honored it. We sat in that airport in Phoenix for almost 6 hours before we got on a flight, so it wasn't the easiest travel scenario. But I like I said after the Princeton game, and the Princeton coach was very gracious to thank our program for going and playing that game, because a lot of high majors will not do that, and I think it's good for the health of basketball to be able to give some of those good programs that have had good history, a chance to host a game like that and have their campus, have a power conference team. I mean, they've had some of the greatest players in the history of basketball play at San Francisco. So I think it was overall there was a lot of reasons why it was a good thing for us.
As far as the quality of opponent, what they presented you as far as challenges, we were probably pleased with that factor too.
Yeah, I mean they have a good inside player, they have a good point guard, they have shooters. I mean they were 7-1 coming into the game, and then they came back the very next night after a really tough game with us and played very well versus Cal. So it was I think it kind of validated that they're a pretty good basketball team.
That wasn't the prettiest of endings, but you got stops on their last 8 possessions. What have you thought about just your defense overall, and then in maybe key situations?
Yeah, I just think it's been better than I expected, and just across the board. And just I think the length at the wings and the speed in the backcourt and the way, you know, Romello is rebounding and even Jalen Graham for a freshman to come into that environment and be as productive as he was in his minutes. You know, there were really a lot of positives. But yeah, that last minute, I would love to forget that. And we looked at that and talked to our guys about some of the issues in that last minute. But outside of that, it was another, you know, strong defensive effort because we didn't turn them over like we have turned some other teams over this year, but we held them to really low field goal percentage shooting.
How about 3 close games? Obviously, it's got to help you down the stretch for the rest of the season, having played 3 games down to the buzzer.
Yeah, I mean, you want to know that you could play in a close game, and then you want to gain confidence from learning how to win close games. So it's you know, we're happy to have won 2 of the 3, and you know, I think for us moving forward, it's not as much for me about winning, and it's always important to win. It's about like us playing better and getting better, and improving in some of the areas that the coaching staff is valuing right now. And we're hoping that the couple of days in practice we had leading into this game will address some of the concerns that we have. And because, you know, you just want to keep getting better this time of year before you get to conference play.
You mentioned Khalid was one of the guys that kind of took advantage of the competition. What did you see that kind of made you so happy about him to just keep playing him?
I think he's a slim guy, but he was just playing a lot more physical in practice, going after the ball more on the backboard. You know, at that position, you need a guy that could rebound, and we knew with what we lost from rebounding that was going to be a priority, and he's shown that going to the offensive glass, and he's just being more physical around the basket. And then again, he's been doing a lot of things that don't involve scoring. So, and I told our team, I thought his minutes versus Princeton, he played very well and wasn't necessarily being a big time scorer, but he was like doing all the little things that we need him to do. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the game, he's hitting the big shots at the end. And so it's not like we're just looking for a guy that's going to come in and put numbers. It's going to be your all around game. And he was showing that leading into practice, and the coaches were talking to me about him. And then when I put him in the Virginia game right before the half, he played well in those minutes, and that kind of carried over to Princeton.
So was there like a switch in practice before that Virginia game where you felt comfortable enough to play him because of his physicality in practice?
Well, we didn't make a lineup change at that point. He just got a little more time. He thrust himself into the rotation a little sooner, and then once the door opened for him, he really kind of ran through it, which was good to see how he played. And then he built on it again in the San Francisco game. I mean, his numbers weren't ridiculous, but they were very simple and efficient, and just making the right plays.
Objectively speaking, do you think Romello not being overshadowed, so to speak, by Zylan like it was last year is really helping him to shine?
I think with Mello, it's just been he knows that he's older in the program now. I think he saw the opportunity, and I've really been saying it through the whole summer how good he's looked and what kind of condition he was in, and he just got more pop in his legs, just getting off his feet better around the hoop, changing ends really good. His motor is at the best it's been. So he's worked on his shooting, even his misses, and I hope it continues. It's been just like in and out, and so he's like really, his touch has been good. So there's just been a lot of things that I've noticed that that has told us that he was ready to have this kind of start.
And even free throw shooting has really improved too.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on that. He put a lot of work in that, and again, if he faces up and he's open 15 feet, 17 feet, then I'd have confidence in him, taking that shot as well. I don't think that's really come his way as much yet, but that's something that he's done in practice that that we think he's added to his game.
Anything else?